I refused to include another child in my son's advanced math tutoring, and now the parent is upset and calling me selfish for not sharing the resources. Am I really in the wrong for wanting the best for my child? My older son, 12M, is very interested in math and has the aptitude to match. Not a huge surprise, as I was the same and went on to get advanced degrees in a quantitative field. Due to my wife's job, we relocated to a smaller town. The public schools have become a mess, so we enrolled him in what is regarded as the academically strongest private school in the area. It's okay, but not nearly as good as the public school in our old home city. We supplemented son's math with an online program last year, at which he excelled. Math at school was a total waste, but he could afford the lost time. He has a lot of interests: music, coding, bouldering, baseball, etc., and now his homework load is increasing. Time is scarce and he can't double up on math using evening time. We asked the school if he could just use his math period to go to the library and get ahead on homework, but they refused. No one to supervise was the reason given. And doing synchronous online math in the library won't work, because his schedule is blocked and the time of day he does math moves around. My office, I'm remote, is a 3-minute walk from the school, on purpose, picked for drop-off ease, so I asked if I could take charge of his math education in the library. School agreed. My son asked if I would consider including one classmate, Jane. He vouched for her math skill, interest, and work ethic. I asked her parents if I could review her assessment results and evaluate her myself. She wasn't quite up to where my son is, but close enough that I could make it work, and she seemed very hard-working and enthusiastic. So far, so good. A few weeks into this, I get a call from the school. The parents of another student, Joe, are upset that he was not offered a chance to participate. My son's sense was that Joe doesn't like math especially, and is poorly behaved. I didn't really want another kid, but I asked to see his assessments before I said no, because I assumed they'd show he wasn't ready, and I could decline on non-subjective grounds. His parents shared, and indeed he is just at grade level. When I declined, his parents got quite upset. They called the school to complain about favoritism. They called and berated me, too, insisted that if I took Jane then I needed to take all comers, that I was discriminating against their child. We are all same race religion. I wouldn't budge. They asked the school not to allow the accommodation for my son and Jane. I told the school that if I got any more guff, my kid was just going to do online school. He was admitted to a very high-level online program, but decided to only take one evening computer science class. Parents are bad-mouthing me to all who will listen. At first I was silent, but now I respond that Joe did not demonstrate aptitude for advanced math in my view and would not be able to keep up. So, Eta for refusing to include Joe? Ita for giving Joe's lack of aptitude as a reason? Next story.
I ruined my husband's family trip by voicing concerns about our plans and refusing to go along with decisions that made me uncomfortable. Now his family thinks I'm being difficult and selfish. Am I really in the wrong for speaking up? I, 25F, and my husband, 28M, have been married for 1 year now and have a 2-year-old daughter. My mother-in-law always called us sinful for having a child before marriage, despite the fact we were engaged when we conceived her. She was conceived a few weeks after my husband's proposal, so we had to push the wedding a little bit back, which ended up being on my mother-in-law's birthday party, causing her to cancel her plans for the wedding. She has hated me and my daughter ever since. It's ridiculous. A month ago, my husband was invited on a trip to Barbados by his mother and the rest of his family. It was a family trip. I was thrilled to go with him and bring my daughter along with us. That is, until he broke to news that I would not be able to attend because of the issue with my mother-in-law prior. I thought that was water under the bridge at this point. I found out that his sister's husbands and kids were allowed to go, though. I pretended I didn't care. Yeah, I can stay home and watch our daughter all alone while you party in the Caribbean. I said to him 2 days before he was to leave. When I went to drop him off at the airport, I saw my mother-in-law and the rest of the family gathered around. I decided to go say hey, and I took my daughter with me when I left to car. When I announced myself, my mother-in-law had the nerve to say, and very loudly, "Look, it's the bastard child and her greedy mother." I was shocked and pissed. I said, "Well, we're married now. I won't allow you to invalidate my relationship and my child any longer." She was visibly mad, and the family started to talk. After that, I just left and kissed my husband goodbye. A week into the trip, he called and said I ruined the trip, his mother was crying and mad at him, and that it's all they are all thinking about. So, Eta for ruining a good family trip over little insult.
Next story.
I attended my high school sweetheart's wedding despite my partner's discomfort. Now they're upset and claim I disrespected our relationship. Am I really in the wrong for going? I don't know if I am in the wrong or I am being gaslit. I, 36F, attended my ex's, 37Nem, wedding this weekend, and I apparently failed a test. My ex Adam and I dated in high school from the time we were 15, 18, when we amicably split up to go to college in different states. Since college, we've kept in Facebook familiar contact, where we'd wish each other happy birthday or congratulate each other on big milestones, but have had no other contact in the 20 or so years since then. About a year ago, I saw his engagement post on his Facebook and congratulated him. A few months ago, he Facebook messaged me, asked how I was doing, and said he wanted to have a bit of a high school get-together at his wedding since he was holding it in our hometown. He was inviting most of our mutual friends circle, and he'd love for me to attend too. I hadn't seen most of these friends in over a decade, and I thought the idea sounded fun, so I accepted the invitation. The wedding was this past weekend, and it was incredibly normal. I attended with my husband, he got to meet all of my high school friends and their partners, and we had a great time. Sunday morning, I wake up to a slew of Facebook messages from my ex's new wife about my audacity to attend the wedding, and how out of all his former girlfriends, I was the only one who failed the test. She said that clearly you shouldn't attend an ex-wedding unless you're still hung up on them, and how I must be planning to steal her new husband away. I was shocked, but also apologized if I had been unwelcomed, and how I must have misunderstood as my reason for attending was to see old friends. She immediately responded and again said that no sane woman, with good intentions, would ever think it was okay to attend their ex's wedding. I again apologized if I was unwelcomed and hoped my presence hadn't detracted from her day. I then messaged my ex and apologized if I had misunderstood and hoped I hadn't caused any issues. He replied that he was glad I attended, the invitation had been sincere, there was no separate event planned, he was glad to see the old friend group and apologized about his new wife's messages. I left it at that, thinking it was a closed matter. A few hours later, the new wife is messaging me again, complaining about how I was trying to manipulate her new husband to make her look crazy. I decided this was not a ship I wanted to sail on, took a screenshot of all her messages and my replies, sent them to the ex, and said I was just going to go ahead and block them both so I couldn't be accused of inappropriate contact with anyone. Yesterday, I started getting messages from the bride's sister saying I poisoned my ex against his new wife, and I should have kept the messages to myself. I'm also being told I could have just avoided all of this by knowing I shouldn't attend my ex's wedding. I'm honestly not sure if I'm in the wrong or am being gaslit by an insecure woman and her sister. So, ATA for attending my ex's wedding.
Next story. I talked to a girl my friend has liked for years but never made a move. Now he's upset and says I broke the bro code. Am I really in the wrong for pursuing her? I have 3 roommates, all male, and then myself. Emmy have a friend group in college with 6 girls who we have known for the past year. 3 are in relationships and 1 is a lesbian. Out of the 2 available girls, we are all straight. There is 1 girl, who my other roommate has liked for over a year, almost since we meet. We all have encouraged him to reach out to her, talk to her one-on-one, and try to make sort of a move. He's extremely resistant and commonly says love will find its way, but has also stated he would be upset if any of us tried anything with her. I always have liked her, but I decided that this was his opportunity, and he always made it clear that he liked her. However, one of our other roommates leaked that he liked her, and she now knows. She hasn't made a move on him, and it's pretty clear doesn't like him. Now, a year later, I feel that she likes me more, has given some hints, and indicated somewhat I'm more her type. ATA. And am I breaking bro code if I try to talk with her more and peruse something? I don't want beef with my roommate, but at the same time I feel like he's had his turn and hasn't done anything with it.